Okay, so when you're working in the box, you're going to look this direction. When you're working in the occlusal, you're going to be looking this direction. Okay?
Can you please say one more time?
Yeah, so let's look along. So for working on the occlusal, I'm going to look this way.
Okay.
So now I can see how tall the walls are. You got a pretty short wall over here, huh? And this wall's taller, but you're cutting into the triangular ridge too much. So just follow the central groove. And preserve the triangular ridge between these grooves. Go around this triangular ridge and around this triangular ridge.
When I'm trying to make it deep, I don't know why it becomes more wide.
Well,
What's the reason?
if you can make the wall taller by going wider or by going deeper. You're measuring the height of the wall, so just make sure that you get the wall height you want. But don't go wider to get it taller, go deeper pulpally. But preserve the triangular ridges. If you cut through the triangular ridge, it gets too tall. Okay, and then when we come around to work in the box, we look this way, parallel to the contact downward at a 45-degree angle. Let's get the fingerprints off the mirror. And so, yeah, you got a damaged margin here. That's easy to do, but I'll show you how to avoid that. Pretty good clearance on the facial, but you're very obtuse. And I think I wrote down, yeah, it's a composite prep, right? Okay, so, but you're even maybe more obtuse than you should be for a composite. But anyway, once you find the margin, cut straight in and adjust the angle until you're happy. But in the lingual, you might want to put an extra finger behind the burr, behind the handpiece, because you're letting the burr slip outwards. It wants to. Are you looking at the monitor? It wants to slip outwards, so try not to let it happen. But you're going to have to find the margin and cut from the margin straight in. And then adjust that until you get the margin and the exit angle that you want. Notice when I change this over here, now I can see where to put the corner of the box, right here, huh? So see the difference? There's where the corner should be. Okay, so find the margin, find the angle, get the length, make the curve, find the corner, then get rid of the excess. I'll let you do that. But see, there's where the corner should be, and then the actual should be going this direction. Now, put the corner about right here, and then cut the actual this direction, and then you'll be okay. Then when you have two nice corners, looking in the monitor, so when you have two nice corners, use them to go gingivally and get gingival clearance. Okay? Because we're not finished until we get the gingival clearance, right? Okay, and so you took those out, so we're okay there. So you're doing a second molar DO over here, huh? Decide to try that again?
Yeah, I mean, I do 2-3 tooth at a time, like
Okay.
one by one. I do like 2-3.
Yeah, well, take your time on each one. Get the most information you can out of each.
Yeah, because like if I don't create a problem, I don't know how to fix it. That's why.
Okay. That's fine. I understand that. So the DO over here, you're closer. The walls are still kind of short though, so you should have gone a little deeper pulpally. And then when you find your lingual margin over here, the wall's going to be taller and then come straight in. Now your facial margin is pretty reasonable, your exit angle is pretty reasonable. Look this way when you're doing the wall along the oblique ridge. Okay? Look this way so you know exactly where you're going. You got a little bit closer to the oblique ridge than you needed to. So your wall should have been more like this. Okay? But again, if you're looking this way, you're in total control. That's the key.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
All right, so keep working on 19. It's coming along, though. Not a horrible disaster. All right.
I
Right?
just realized I'm working on 30.
You're working on 30. Okay, well, you should have asked him what the assignment was. You got to have that indirect approach, right?
No.
Okay, well, let's work on 30. No, we're going to work on 30. You start on 30, so got to finish it. If you're doing the wrong tooth in the patient, at least you have to finish it. But don't charge them. Okay, so 30, we're going to look along the arch this way. Okay, so you see I'm looking along the arch. So I can see the angulation of the burr. So what do you think about that angle?
It's not towards the lingual.
It's not toward the lingual, it's toward the buccal. So it's like you're trying to hit the buccal pulporn, right? So make sure you're always thinking in terms of protecting the buccal pulporn, so look lingually. Now the good news is you're not deep enough pulpally at all. So you got a long ways to go pulpally. But just look this direction, make sure the burr is always leaning toward the lingual. If you're looking the way I am, you can see that, and then a little bit deeper. And the distal groove is right here. So make sure you get right into it. So cut right into that groove. Distal buccal's here, so you missed a little bit. A couple different attempts there, and you missed this groove a little bit, you see? You see where this groove is? So you're extending there, but that's not where the groove is. So turn the patient a little bit. And so instead of going here, let's go here. So I mark where those grooves are. Then looks. So that's where the grooves are. So then we can, again, lean the burr lingually. Make sure all the walls are 1.5 millimeters tall. No taller than that. Preserve the triangular ridges between the grooves. Now do what you need to keep all the walls 1.5 millimeters tall and no taller. Okay, so that's a little bit better. We still have a sharp edge right here. We want to not have any sharp edges anywhere. You have to smooth that out a little bit. Then cut to the middle of the contact. Now see, you're going facial-lingual here. Don't do that. Once you get the isthmus to about here, cut straight to the middle of the contact, just a slot, the same width as the burr, right to the middle of the contact. Then find your margins facial-lingually, then cut inward at a 90-degree angle, then join the isthmus. Then you'll be ready to go gingerly.
Okay, so I have to cut through the middle of the contact rather than extending the isthmus outside.
Always, 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 always. So that's where I outlined those steps over there. And on the upper molar, of course, you just start in the middle of the contact. Just drill a hole and then find your facial-lingual margins. Now be careful about hitting the adjacent tooth.
Yeah, I just need to.
No, you lean the burr like this. See the angle that you had?
Yeah.
You're leaning your burr totally into the adjacent tooth. So that's going to happen if you're trying to look the way I am right now.
To the apex, to the axis.
Yeah, then you'll always hit the adjacent tooth. You always undercut and overextend the axial. So your burr was leaning toward the adjacent tooth all the time. That's why we look this way, parallel to the contact, downward at a 45-degree angle. Then we can see the angulation toward the adjacent tooth, the position toward the adjacent tooth, and everything. Now, your lingual clearance is good, your exit angle is good, your length is pretty good, but where's your corner? How about if we just make a corner right there? Then the axial is going to have a much nicer shape. Now over here we have a margin, but we have an acute angle. So we've got to fix the angle by moving the margin and then recutting the angle and getting the length, and then we can find the corner. Then once we find the corners, then we can go gingerly. You can't go gingerly until you have a nice corner there and a nice corner here. But see, you need to go deeper gingerly, right?
Okay.
But you've got to do it the right way. So always 7 steps. Drill a hole, cut away, drill a hole, cut away, get rid of the excess, get rid of the excess, get rid of the excess. Use the 55 burr, much easier. But make sure you see how close you are to the adjacent tooth. I'm right next to the adjacent tooth, but I know I'm not hitting it because I can see where I am. And I have to go even farther gingerly. So we repeat those steps. We should be going gingerly. You should have gone gingerly 7 steps at a time 100 times by now. Because we need to practice that over and over and over. Now we get the gingival clearance. Okay, but you got to get good corners. Then use those corners to do the 7 steps. And then just do a little bit each time until you get the clearance that you want.
Now I can take the hand instruments and then...
Yeah, yeah. But continue on 30. Okay. Alrighty.
Can you show me how to really angulate the burr, because I'm not able to.
You mean how to make sure the vertical angle is correct?
Of the burr when we inclined.
Oh, I see.
I couldn't do that. When I saw you, I thought like, oh, it's easy, but no.
Well, you have to see if you're doing it. Right? So
Go pretty well.
the way we lean the burr lingually is look along the arch and see if we're leaning the burr lingually. So this is leaning the burr lingually.
Mm-hmm.
And you had it leaning buccally here.
Okay.
Right? So that's not what we're talking about. So your pulpal floor is getting deeper toward the buccal pulp horn.
Okay.
That's the opposite of what we want.
Okay.
Okay, so make sure you're looking at the monitor so you can see what you should see. This is what you should see. You should be looking all the way along here so that you know you're leaning the burr lingually so that you're protecting the buccal pulp horn. And keep it leaning lingually all the time for the entire occlusal part of the prep. You're leaning lingually. And then preserve the triangular ridges. Okay, you're trying not to cut the triangular ridges, but you're trying to cut into the grooves, but preserve the triangular ridges in between.
Okay.
But looking the way I am, you can see that, you know, I'm going around the triangular ridge here. I'm going around the triangular ridge here. I always have the burr leaning lingually.
Okay.
Easy to see if you're looking the way I am. Now when we work on the box, of course, we look parallel to the contact.
Okay, parallel to the contact.
Yeah, downward at a 45-degree angle, the way we always do. Okay, make sure we get nice flat walls. So that's fairly flat on the occlusal when it's reasonably long, but there's a step toward the bottom, and then over here it's not very flat.
Didn't it go too much obtuse?
This one here?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, again, it's not very flat, so it's a little bit harder to recognize, but no, that's not, it's a composite prep, so it's not too obtuse.
Okay.
But you got some funny angles here, so.
My handpiece, I slipped there.
Yeah, so keep the burr vertical, and again, if you have an old burr, it's going to slip a lot more easily.
This is new burr.
Okay. Well, but you can make it old in 30 seconds if you overheat it. Yeah. So anyway, make sure the burr is vertical, and then, now you might put an extra finger behind the handpiece here.
Okay. Where? Okay.
So that keeps it from slipping out lingually. If you have too much clearance, if there's enough space for the burr to slip through, it really wants to slip through.
It is slipping through, yes.
Yeah, so use your finger here to help prevent that from happening.
It was slipping, no matter, I didn't know that I can place a finger, but when I was trying even to control going slowly, it's slipping off.
Yeah. So anyway, as long as you're cutting from the outside in, it's safer, and then you might use an extra finger, but be real careful about it. So find the margin. So we got the damage way out here. I haven't tried to repair that because your margin actually moved out here because of the damage. But you know, use that extra finger, cut from the margin inward, get the length, get the angle, get the curve, find the corner. Then you're ready to go gingerly. And once you have a wall that allows you to find where the corner is, when you get rid of the excess along that wall, then you'll have a flat wall all the way down to the gingival, and it'll be okay. And put the corner about right here on the on the buccal side, and you'll be okay.
Okay.
But you know, use the 50 fiber. Make sure you get rid of all the excess in the facial lingual walls.
I should remove the excess on lingual wall too, right?
Yes,
Yep.
yes, all that
Okay.
right there.
Okay.
Okay. But again, note the position that I was in, note what I was seeing. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we talked about how close you got to the oblique ridge.
Yeah.
And so, if you define that corner a little better,
More?
yeah, I mean, it's not very well defined, is it?
Okay, with hand instrument or should I continue?
No, let's do it with a burr.
Okay.
And see how much of a hook you have there on the lingual margin?
Okay.
There's a big, huge hook. So how about we just put the corner about right here, then check in the mirror to see how we did. So that's a better defined corner. And then we can get rid of the excess along that wall.
Get the sharp corners as you get in your tip. The really sharp corner, I'm always getting, no matter what I do, it's getting a circle corner.
Yeah, well, you see,
because of my
you
burr.
can make a well-defined corner if you just drill down the corner right there. Just come down the corner. Then I can come in and out maybe a little bit, but basically if you drill a hole right there, you get a corner that's well-defined.
Okay.
Okay? That's just the size of the burr.
Okay.
All right? Okay, pretty cool. Yeah, okay.
Are we doing anything for 15-20 minutes?
We're always doing something.
Okay.
You're free to, if you have 15 or 20 minutes and you need to do something else, then feel free. Yeah, I mean, whatever you need to do. Yeah.
You are not explaining anything.
No, nope. Okay, so yeah, I suspect that's the wrong tooth over there, but maybe we don't have the right one. So the DO.
I removed the step over there in the box, proximal box.
Okay, there's still a step on the facial side. There's a little hook. So right in here, there's a little hook on the facial wall.
Yes.
So that's a little bit big for a hand instrument, but you can just use the 55 burr and come down like this. And now it's flat all the way to the margin. That's good.
I I don't know how, actually this is a stupid question, but the hand pieces, I mix them.
The hand instruments?
Yes.
Well, okay, so what you need to do first is figure out what you want to do.
Okay.
Okay, what are you going to try to do? You're going to use a hand instrument. You want to accomplish something. First of all, figure out what you want to accomplish, and then you just have to find an instrument that'll do that.
Okay.
All right. So we're not going to try to memorize. Okay, here's the name of the instrument that does this. Here's the name of the, there's the shape of the instrument that will actually do that. Okay, so but first of all, figure out what you need to do. Now, of course, eventually we're going to angle the gingival floor, right?
Right.
So we have to have an instrument that has an angle.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So this one. Oops.
That's actually for class 3s.
Oops.
It does have an angle, but it's got an extra angle on the shaft too. It's these right here, the small handle. Those are the gingival margin tumors.
Yes, that's
They
true.
have that curve and they have an angle. That's how you recognize them. But they will allow you to angle the gingival floor. But we can't. We're not ready to do it yet, are we? We're not ready to angle the gingival floor because we don't have gingival clearance.
Right.
So then, go back, and I would have put the corner about right here.
Okay.
And cut away from that wall, and then put the corner about right here and cut away from this wall. So there's a new axial wall position, a new axial wall shape. And when you use the 55 burr and get rid of the excess,
Okay.
then you'll have some clearance. Then you can finish it with the hand instruments. Okay, so 19. I'll change my chair position. So now I'm looking along the arch, along the central groove. And so notice the angle that you're using here. You're leaning the burr more toward the facial. You need to be leaning it toward the lingual.
Okay.
Okay, so here's vertical. This
So
is
hand
lingually.
is toward the lingual side.
Yeah, again, you don't have to remember what that means.
Right.
All you have to
Just
do is
don't
remember
expose the pulp.
you're trying to protect the buccal pulpor.
Right.
So then you want the pulpal floor to be deeper on the lingual and more shallow on the buccal,
Right.
which requires that you lean your burr this way. Okay, so you can figure that out every time if you need to. You don't have to memorize a particular technique or position or whatever. Just remember what it is you're trying to do and then figure out how to do it. Okay, so I'm leaning the burr lingually all the time. We can smooth out this area right here. I'm going to go a little bit farther into the distal groove, and we're not quite at the groove. We're not quite in the groove. So the groove's right here. So let's go exactly where that groove is. And try to keep the walls all the same height as the burr. So preserve the triangular ridges and cut into the grooves, and you can keep all the walls equal. So that's always nice. It's a little bit wide, but you know, it's pretty smooth now. Now, what are you doing over here?
Actually, the facial side, it is not enough. Actually, I should
Not enough what?
Bit, and I don't have
Not enough what?
gingiva.
The facial side is not enough what?
Enough cutting.
I'm not sure what you mean.
The peaks. I think I should cut more.
I don't know what you mean by cut more.
Facial.
Oh, okay. You want to extend facially more?
Yes.
You want to extend the margin facially?
Yes.
You know, you want to actually get 1/2 millimeter clearance out here?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be great? So since you have no clearance at all facially,
Right.
why are you trying to go gingivally? Right?
Yes, that's correct.
Remember, we want to finish each step, and then the next step is much easier.
Right.
So what you're trying to do now is actually impossible. Okay, but you're trying it anyway.
Yep.
All right? So let's just look this way. So you're worried about going too far facially or whatever.
Yes,
You're worried about hitting the adjacent tooth, whatever.
that's correct.
So look the way I am, and I know I'm not hitting the adjacent tooth, all right? I know exactly how close the burr is to the adjacent tooth, and I know I'm moving the margin facially. Then I lean to the right a little bit and look in the mirror, and I say, okay, I've got some clearance.
Yeah,
That wasn't very hard. But what you're worried about is hitting the adjacent tooth, so
Yes,
look
yes.
so you know if you are. And then cut straight in. And you're worried about getting the wrong angle, so
right.
just make it straight and then check the angle. Okay, it's a little bit obtuse, so that's a good composite prep if it's a little bit obtuse. So find the margin, find the angle, get the length, make the curve to join the isthmus. And then you'll be ready to find the corner of the box about right here. Okay, but
Okay.
you have no axial depth at all. Now over here, you've got too much clearance, but your exit angle is pretty good. But look at you stopped here and then you made a big curve.
Yep.
So if you didn't go in any farther than that, it makes it impossible to find the corner of the box. And so you're totally underextended axially because you didn't do the occlusal outline form correctly. So find the margin, find the angle. You might want to put an extra finger behind here so the burr doesn't slip out.
Oh, okay.
Find the margin, find the angle, get the length. Length, length, length. Then make the curve. Now you can now I'm going to straighten it up a little bit more. So now I can put the axial where it should be.
Right.
It's easy to just put it maybe about right here. So now the axial is going to be in a much better position relative to the DEJ and so forth. And it's going to be much easier to do those 7 steps going gingivially. And it'll be much easier to get the clearance gingivially. But if you don't find nice corners, you'll never be able to go gingivially. If you don't have a good outline form on the occlusal, you'll never be able to find the corners.
Right. That's right.
Okay? So make sure you finish each step well. Make sure you're happy with each step. And then when you go gingivially, it's easy as opposed to impossible. So you were trying to do the impossible. Now it'll be easy.